Hi everyone, this is Mary from Athena's Bibliotheca, and today I'm going to do 25 bookish facts about me. First one. The first book that I remember reading is Green Eggs and Ham, and I used to read it all the time. I had it memorized, even though Green Eggs and Ham is probably the easiest book to memorize because it's just a bunch of repeating words, but I love that book. I watched the Percy Jackson movies first, and I thought that they were really good until I read the book, and now I can't even watch 15 minutes of it before I'm like, nope, no more, I can't do it, because it's just too different from the books that I can't even finish the movie anymore. Third one is that I read fan fiction, a lot. I read it probably the majority of the time I'm reading, it's fan fiction because I'm slightly obsessed. It's just when I get a world that I really enjoy, I don't want to get rid of it. I don't want to go away from it, so I just read fan fiction, so I'm always in the world. And I'm trying to read less so then I can read other books besides that, but it's a slow process. Number 4 is that my sister and her friend actually got me into fan fiction because they were reading this story. I don't even remember what it was, but I was kind of young. I asked them what they were doing, and they said that they were reading the story, but I shouldn't read it because I'm not old enough to read it. And of course, that just made me want to read it more, so I looked it up, and I read it, and I thought it was weird and slightly disturbing. And I'm like, why are you guys liking this so much? But it got me hooked on fan fiction, so thanks for that. Number 5 is that I used to be really into Wattpad. I would read several books, and even some of the books on my shelves I read before they got published on Wattpad, which I find really cool. I'm like, I read this before it got published, so there's that. Number 6 is I don't like audiobooks. I just have a hard time concentrating on it. I did find out recently that if I had already read the book and I have the book in front of me, I can listen to audiobooks because I already know what's going to happen and I have the book in front of me to follow along. But if it's not in those circumstances, I can't listen to an audiobook. I just don't like it. I get distracted too easily for that. Number 7 is I like to read to people. Doesn't matter who or where, whatever. I just like reading out loud to people, especially if I'd already read the book, so then I know what's coming, and I'm just like, I wonder what they're going to think when this happens, and I get to see it because I'm reading to them, and it's fun. Number 8 kind of goes along with the past one, but I used to read my roommate in high school to sleep. And yes, I went to a boarding school in high school, so I had a roommate. And I would read to her to sleep, but the thing is that I would read her to sleep and then I wouldn't know where I was when she fell asleep, so I would have to read the majority of it over again, and that was annoying, but I still read it to her and she enjoyed it, so that's all that matters. Number 9 is kind of with the audiobook fact because I just realized I put them both in the same. Anyways, is that I was really proud of myself when I finished that audiobook, but I haven't read one since, so there's that. But as I said before, it only has certain circumstances where I can actually read them, and I'd rather read the physical copy anyway. So fact 10 is that I had posted 2 stories on Wattpad when I was really into it or whatever, and they're all gone now. I took them down because I suck at updating stories, and that's annoying to me when I have to wait for a story to get updated, and so I deleted them. I mean, I still have the stories on my USB or whatever, but I haven't written from them. I barely remember what they had, the story. I remember vaguely what it's about, but And I remember where I wanted to take them, but I don't want to read. I don't want to write it. So it's probably just going to be an unfinished thing on my USB forever. One of my favorite things to do when I was obsessed with Wattpad is after I was done reading the story was making a cover for the story I read, because you could put covers on your story in Wattpad, and I had so much fun, and I would send it to the writer of the story, and then every once in a while they'd be like, oh, I got a new thing from this person, and I was like, yes, they recognize my efforts. I think that the Hush Hush series is actually a series that got me even more into reading, to be honest. Is that once I read this, I got like way more into reading than I already was. I read a lot more because of this book. It's a very nostalgic book. And it's also the book that got me reading Wattpad, because apparently someone put this on Wattpad, and I didn't realize that. I thought it was just someone writing, but apparently it was a book that someone posted on Wattpad. I don't remember exactly the whole details, but yeah, I read this first on Wattpad, and then I found out that it was an actual physical book, and I bought it, and I loved it. So, number 13 is I enjoy Percy Jackson more than Harry Potter, because, well, for one, I've actually read all the books. I've only read the first 4 books in the Harry Potter, Harry Potter series, and I've watched all the movies. But some people get really mad. They're like, you're not a real Harry Potter fan if you've only watched the movies. And I'm just like, shut up. Number 14 is that in the Harry Potter universe, or the Harry Potter fandom or whatever, the things I like Hufflepuff and Luna Lovegood more than I like anything else in the series. So I'm 100% a Hufflepuff, and I love the house and like all the traits and stuff for Hufflepuff, and Luna Lovegood is just awesome, and I love her. Sirius Black could also be in there because he's awesome too, and I wish more of him was in the stories, to be honest. Number 15 is that I wrote a poem about my little brother, and I sent it into a contest, and I won $50 for it, and I was pretty proud of that. I mean, I still haven't gotten the $50 because I just won it recently, because they're in the process of mailing it, but I had to include that on here because I just really enjoyed that. Number 16 is that if I find a map in a book, I instantly want to read it, because in my head, if there's a map in it, the book is going to be 100 times better than without a map. Don't ask me why. Just every time I read a book with a map in it, I love it. So, maps make the book better. Number 17 is when I read a book, or when I start to read a book, I don't want to know much about it except for like little tidbits or whatever. Enough that I want to read it, but not enough for me to know really anything about the story. Because I like to be surprised when I'm reading, and that is the perfect way for me to do so. Number 18 is that I love to reorganize my books. I would do it constantly if I could, and I'm never actually fully satisfied with it, and which is kind of sad, but I still reorganize my books a lot, or I try to. I haven't reorganized these books in a while. Should do it soon. Number 19 is I don't want to be an author. And as previously mentioned, I tried to write stories, and I'm really bad at it. Not necessarily that the stories were bad. I mean, they kind of were. They're kind of a 13-year-old trying to write a story. Anyways, I think I have really good ideas for stories, but I would never make the time to write them out or anything. I would be that person that'd be like, hey, you should write a story about this and this and this, and let someone else write it. And I won't even care, as long as they would let me read the book. Number 20 is that I love to go to bookstores and look around at the books, but I rather buy my books online because they're cheaper, and I am not made out of money as much as I wish I was. Number 21 is that I always thought it'd be cool to work at a bookstore, which probably anyone that likes to read books would find that like a cool job, but I've always wanted to work at a bookstore. Also a candy store, but like a candy shop that actually makes the candy there. Like at the store, they also make candy. So both of those are two jobs that I've always wanted to do. Number 22 is that I am actually really expressive when I read a book. Like when someone winks in the story, I'll wink. If someone chews on their lip, I'll chew on my lip. If someone like snaps their finger, I'll probably snap my finger. Little things like that. Number 23 is sometimes when I'm reading, I'll distract myself in the head. Even though I'm still reading, I'll be thinking about something else in my head, and once I get back to my reading, I'll be like a couple pages ahead of myself, and I had no idea what's going on because I wasn't paying attention to what I was reading, so I have to go backtrack to where I was and have to reread that again. Number 24 is actually a kind of new thing in my reading life, is that when I get to the end of a book now, like the last in a series or whatever, it takes me forever to read that book because I'm always thinking, oh my word, they're going to kill off my favorite characters, or they're going to do something mean to my characters, or something bad's going to happen, and I get scared for them. And so it takes me forever to read it, even though I really want to read it. I just can't force myself to do it, even though I really want to. And I need to cut that habit out. And the last fact is when someone asks me what my favorite book is, I'm always like, I don't know, I can't choose. But the 3 books, or 2 books in series that I think of first when someone is asking me this is either Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo, Simon versus the Homo Sapiens Agenda by Becky Albertalli, or the Percy Jackson series. Those are the 3 that my mind goes to first, if that tells you anything. That is all the facts that I have for you today. Hopefully you enjoyed yourself, because that would have been nice for you. I like doing this. Hopefully you found something that you found interesting about me, I guess. I hope you keep on adventuring. See ya!